Hey, welcome to the Because Business is Personal podcast, the podcast where empathy meets marketing strategy. I'm your host, Mike Caldwell, but I'm also known as the Marketing Medic. Now, the reason for that is because before becoming a marketing strategist, I actually worked as a paramedic for 12 years. And it was during that time that I realized how important it was to truly understand the problems your patient was facing before you started providing treatment. And it's this same understanding, this same empathy is just as crucial when it comes to understanding our prospects and making sales. And that's why in each episode, we'll dissect the art of empathic marketing, exploring how top professionals infuse empathy into their strategies to build stronger relationships, boost their sales, and make a lasting impact. So buckle up and prepare to turn up the dial on your marketing effectiveness. As we gear up to dive deeper into the realm of empathic marketing, I'd like to share a couple of special offers with you. First, you can get a free copy of my international best-selling book, Empathic Marketing. You only need to cover the cost of shipping. Reading this will provide you with a much more in-depth understanding of the empathy-based marketing approach that we explore in this show. Next, I'm offering a 50% discount on a transformative 30-minute gap analysis session with me. During the session, we'll identify the hurdles in your marketing efforts, and together we'll develop an actionable roadmap aimed at winning you more clients and making you more sales. Just visit my website, www.becausebusinessispersonal.com to grab your book, or use coupon code PODCAST to take advantage of my gap analysis offer. So why wait? Let's start turbocharging your marketing strategy today. Now, let's get started with our episode. Hey everyone, welcome to Because Business is Personal. Today we got a special guest with us. We have Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen's passion is advancing public education for all children by providing school administrators with public relations and communication counsel. Kennedy opened the Center for Communication and Engagement to assist schools without a communication professional. In 8 years, she helped Oklahoma districts by providing $1 billion in resources for teachers and students. Although she started her career hoping to be a famous journalist, she found her true calling working in PR for a technology center. She also led a team of 12 at the communication chief of urban school district for 7 years. During her tenure in school communications, Kennedy worked on significant crisis teams, including disasters such as the May 20th, 2013 tornado in Moore, Oklahoma, that killed 7 children during the school day. Kennedy is also a communication coach for educators, hosts a podcast on school communications, and a masterclass on education leadership. And she's a single mom of an 11-year-old. So let's welcome Kathleen Kennedy to the show.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Hey,
Thanks
Kathleen. So as we all know, this podcast is called Because Business is Personal, and my book's called Empathic Marketing. So I'm all about the personal side of things before we dive into the business. So what's something non-business related about you that our listeners may find interesting or quirky?
Interesting and quirky. Okay, so interesting and or quirky, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm a single mom by choice, but I in my spare time, which is few and far between, I am a big collector of turtles.
Live turtles?
No, gosh, no. I don't like snakes or
Okay.
what we're talking about. No, I just collect turtles. And I have some like behind me, but there's a story behind that. And it's like a really slow and steady progress once I was talking about it. And then, but it also dates back to college days and part of the sorority thing. And so now I have it's like a conversation starter that's very random. So
Okay. Yeah, I work with a real estate coach, and his spirit animal is a rhinoceros. Everything he does is rhinoceros related. But a turtle, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With hard outer shells, we're soft on the inside, and we make slow and steady progress.
Perfect. I like that. I like that. That really ties into marketing too, I think, because so many people think they're just going to like rush out of the gates and crush it with their first at bat. And yeah,
Oh,
it tend it doesn't work that way. You
lots of
need the
failure.
slow and steady progress. Yes. As long as you're moving forward, you're moving.
Yes, progress.
Yes. So are you would you classify yourself as an entrepreneur or business owner?
Oh yeah. Oh yes, for
Okay.
sure.
And so
Mhm.
what is your business? Because I know you work for the school boards and stuff now, right?
Yeah, so wow, in 2001 I had my first school PR job and marketing with the technology center.
Okay.
And so I worked there for 7 years. I worked for a large urban school district for 7 years and led their communication team. And then I was fired.
Okay.
Me and about five other people on the leadership team were fired. It's all political
Yeah.
motivated and driven, and it is in that kind of industry at the
Okay.
top when they're wanting change. So our superintendent had retired, and I was like, crap, what am I going to do? I had a 1.5-year-old at that time, and I was like, I've got to feed her and provide for her and myself. And
Right.
but I thought I would retire in that job because I loved it so much. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I was a little heartbroken and I pouted for a day, and then I was like, okay, it's time to go. And I wanted to keep serving schools the way I was in my job that I had just got let go from. And so I was like, well, there's 500 and I think 60 at the time school districts in Oklahoma. And so I was like, there's a need. There are about 20 of them had someone full time helping them with marketing and communications and PR. And so there was a giant need to help serve school districts. And that's how I started. Like, that's what I launched into.
Okay. So you're like a consultant. Do you work as a consultant for these different school
Yeah.
boards?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I started my business with the sole mission of doing what I did in a district, but for myself. And then I could
Right.
host and I could help multiple school districts. So I didn't have to work for one singular board that was, let's say, politically driven.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think my first question is I don't think of a school as requiring marketing or PR. So can you explain why that
Wow.
is?
That's so funny because my first job, when a friend of mine, I had worked for a nonprofit after being in television on my short, like 3-year journey. You get your degree and you're like, I think I'm going to do this forever. And like want to be
Yeah.
on TV. And I have the perfect name for television, Kathleen Kennedy. And, like I hated it. And so I got into nonprofit. And while I was there, I was asked to be on the front lines after a tornado. And they wanted me to deliver the news in our area and kind of on our side. And so a friend of mine's like, oh, you'd be really great in PR and marketing for a technology center. And I was like, what is that? Like, you just put buttons on people and you like market with like, what I'm talking about, like the metal ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. So that was not what it was. And it was, we were marketing the programs and services. And I had loved it because as a student in high school, you ever heard of DECA?
I'm in Canada, so
Oh,
no.
okay. Okay. So DECA is I thought it was an international program, but it's a marketing and education program, like teaches students in high school marketing programs and stuff. So I got my
Oh,
love and my calling for it as a junior in high school, and it was amazing. And so it's kind of like planted the seeds. And then I went back to that when I was in my first school PR and marketing job. It was like, how do I market and get students interested in coming to a school that they can enroll in? They weren't forced to go there. You got to choose to go there. And so
hmm.
that's a whole different ball game. And so it was all about creating ambassadors and they're helping you market. So you had student ambassadors to help you market. And it's a really interesting concept to bring into business and along the way, because you want your references really to tell your stories, right? So it's kind of
Okay.
the same thing. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, I think I got it now. And so I don't, I was going to ask you what motivated you to become an entrepreneur, but we've got that. Have you had any regrets since making that decision?
Well, for the first couple of years I did, I would be like, okay, I'm doing this. And then at the same time, I'm applying for jobs. Like,
Right.
oh, I need something permanent. This is going to be scary and hard and whatever. And I'll tell you what, like, I had one of those dads growing up that was like, you're on a schedule, you're doing what it takes to get it done. And he didn't care if you liked it, you're just going to do it. Right. And
Right.
it's
Yep.
like, he was hardcore, hard nosed, but he was business, right? I think all of my sisters have a business minor.
Okay.
So that we had like a background and to fall onto and we needed it. And like super smart advice from my dad. But when I told him my business idea, he became my biggest champion. Like he's like, yes, it makes so much sense. Keep going, keep going, keep going. At first, when I first got laid off, he was like, find any job, like work in a bank. And I was like, the life would be sucked out of me if I had to
Right.
work in bank marketing and PR. Like
Yeah.
I could feel my soul draining.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so once I would do this and was getting more leverage, he's like, keep going, And so he was my driver.
Okay. So one of the things I talk about in with my marketing, what I do is I look at your audience's level of awareness. How
Mm,
aware are they of their problem? How aware of their solutions, right? And
yeah.
so it seems to me that you kind of created your own sort of position, like niche, I guess. So when
Uh-huh.
you would go to a school to say, I can help you, they were probably at the unaware stage. Like they're like,
Yes.
how can you help me? We don't have a problem.
But they
Is
have
that what
huge
happened?
problems. Yes.
Yeah, but they weren't aware of it, right? Am
No,
I
you're
on the
right.
right
They
track?
are totally in the unaware stage, which is, I'm so glad you brought that up because for me, it's twofold. They definitely need the services, and I know that, but it is creating an awareness of the need. And
Right.
so, where I'm best at meeting that is going out in person and delivering like small, in-person presentations. So in groups of superintendents or in administrative leadership. So I would reach out to people that I knew and I'd go start speaking. And that's my bread and butter. That is how, like, because one person's like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. And then there's like 10 or 15 of them. Then they're like, whoa, we didn't know that was an issue. And
Right.
so, yeah, so it's generating that and like it was one that built on another and that built on another. And so I love doing that. Plus I go and speak to like college classes, not your bachelor's programs, but master's and doctoral level, where they are going back for furthering education. And so I'll go and speak to those classes as well, because they're in there learning specifically about becoming administrators. And so that's my opportunity to go, boom, you need this. and and
Right.
they're like mind blown a little bit about like all the things that they're going to face as an administrator and what they need.
Wow, very cool. Yeah, because so these superintendents aren't going home at night and like Googling trying to find you.
No,
Because they
or
don't
they
know
are
they don't know they need you until you tell them.
Yeah, right. Or and then I, have worked with so many people over the years now that it's reference based a lot. And of course you love reference based clients, right? Like
Mhm.
last year I had three that they were all in the same doctoral cohort. And now all five of them are my clients that were
Oh wow.
in the same. Yeah. Like I was like, they're all five. Yeah. I'm doing work with all five of them.
Oh
and,
cool.
and so like that is the best place to be. And I love all five of them, like, but they're all super different and
Okay.
they all have, and what I talk to my clients about is you have to know your own audience and have to deliver to your audience like what they need and what they are wanting. And so I get to go in and learn about their audience and then create a custom program for them. I'm not delivering like like canned material for every single person.
And that's so important. Like, so in my marketing world, online direct response marketing, we've got ClickFunnels and Russell Brunson, and his big thing is, funnel hacking, just find something that's working and do the same thing as them. But
Yeah.
like you said, like you've got five clients that are the same client, but
Uh-huh.
they're all completely different. You can't give them the
Yeah.
same canned solution. And so that's
Oh
why
no.
funnel hacking doesn't work, because Like if it was, then, you would just have a program that you gave to all 5 people, plug and play,
Yeah.
let it
Oh
go.
yeah, it'd be
Right.
great. And then you like just generate it and you go on to the next and you make money. And that's not how
Yeah.
it works. You
No.
have to find that. And it's kind of like that, like how do people hear about you and what are they looking for? You got to tap into that. And everybody's different. Like every community is looking for something different.
Awesome. So this brings me to the next question, which is perfect. Can you share an interesting story about a major challenge you faced in your business and how you overcame it?
Oh man. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many, so many challenges.
Challenges? It's just been easy peasy. I've never had any challenges. What are you talking about?
If it's not a challenge, you're not doing it right. Let's just start with that, right?
Every day is sunshine and roses here. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. So really if you get comfortable, this is for me. I may not be everybody, right? But like if you get too comfortable and you're like going along and you leave what originally started you out in that good path, and that's where you got to go back to. Like you've got to do what works for you. Have you ever read the book The One Thing by Gary Keller?
No, I know of it, but I
Oh,
have not. Yeah.
marketing book, right? He's Keller Williams.
Yeah. No, I know of it. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
So
I just
the
thought
one
it was mostly real estate based, so I haven't read it.
Well, you know what? That's what I was thinking because I'm like, okay, what is that gonna? But if you focus on the one thing that drives the most revenue in your business, that's everything else is gonna fall into place. And that was his core message. And I was like, okay, so for me, it's speaking, right? Like getting out there and speaking and sharing my message. And I'm like, holy crap. And then I have another mentor who is Shanda Sumter. She is amazing and I went through a transformational leadership program about a year and a half ago. And so one of her things is your priority focus time, like setting a schedule every single day during the week and don't let anyone for any reason interrupt it. Don't like time block it out. And I'm like combining those two ideas in my time block, and that's all I spend is that focus time in there, and it is a game changer. And so cuz I went from having some massive clients who decided, "Oh, we no longer need you anymore because we're going to do this on our own," or they've hired someone full time to do it. And I'm like, "Whoa, wait a minute. They jumped off ship." And I wasn't prepared because I wasn't out there speaking all the time. And I wasn't constantly looking for those opportunities. And so now, not only that, I looked in that focus time and I'm like, where are the bigger fish? Where can I go bigger and play in a bigger audience? Like, so now I'm going to national audiences that cater just to the superintendents. And so I have found that, but that's my one thing, right? Like those are fall into my one thing.
Okay.
So my challenge was I wasn't doing what I need to be doing to keep that business momentum moving.
Right. Okay. And
I got
I think
comfortable.
the way I like to end this podcast is with like what's an action item we can take away. But before we get to that one, that final one, I think this is a super powerful one because we've all, especially business owners, like because I've been there, I don't know how many times. Like I've got a couple of clients, they're paying the bills, I got lots of time off, and things are going great, and then he retired. I'm like, whoa, no, you can't retire.
Right? Yeah,
I got to replace. How am I going to replace you, right? Because, like you say, you weren't.
2 superintendents last year retire, and one died. So you know,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I knew it was coming, but then that contract, and it was my biggest one, ended, and it had been my bread and butter for 5 years.
Right.
So yeah.
So I think that's an important takeaway as a business owners. Don't get too comfortable.
Yes.
And so to get those first clients, you put a whole bunch of work in to get them, and you
But
don't need to
can't stop.
Yeah, but you don't have to keep going at that level, right? Like like if you're doing whatever, like 6 hours a day to promote yourself to get those big clients, you can just drop it back to like 1 or 2 hours a day. But you have to do those 1 or 2 hours a day.
To me, this focus time and the focusing on the one thing that drives everything to my front door is critical. It's mission critical for me. And it was so powerful because I went back and I actually looked at what my outcomes were in my input, and the outcomes were like, holy moly. I have like, so because I have so many different facets of my business. So there's the coaching, the masterclass, and the podcast, and then my PR and communication firm, because I have employees that contract with me and that I have a full-time PR coordinator that works for me. And so I have other people that are like relying on a salary now. And it's like, okay, you
Right.
got to go for it. You got to go all in. And
Yes.
it's important. Yeah.
That changes things too once you start hiring employees. And like,
I did
I
it
know.
last year. It was a scary jump.
Yeah. Like this is sort of off topic a little bit, but when I applied to medical school, and I'm pretty good at tests. Like I've just always been able to pass tests on my own by skating by somehow. But when I was applying to McMaster, a university in Canada called McMaster University, they had a different process in that they didn't really have as many lectures. They had like tutorial groups. And so let's say you and I were in the same tutorial group, and this week we have to learn about the heart. So it's like, okay, you learn about the anatomy and physiology. I will learn about the biomechanics of it. You learn about the diseases. And then there's like 6 of us. We all learn a different component. And then we have to go in and teach the other people about it.
So great. What a great way to do that.
Oh my gosh, because the accountability I would have for you is so much higher than the accountability I have for myself. Right? Like,
yeah, because you're
I'm happy with a C.
to learn everything.
Yeah, like I'm happy just to pass, right? I can skate by with just a passing grade. But I know if you're going to spend like, 40 hours researching your stuff so that you could give me your best information, then I got to respond in kind, right? So
right.
Luckily I didn't get into med school.
Oh.
Because that would have stressed me out. But yeah, there is definitely a different dynamic when you're accountable to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a great segue into my next question. How do you incorporate empathy into your marketing strategies? And can you share an example where this has made a significant impact?
Okay, yes. So in the United States, the public education system has been just driven in divisive ways through politics. It's taking a cut, right? And
Right.
there's agendas. And so to me, and this is true for any business, you really need to humanize it. And a lot of times, so one of the things that I do is I scan and do a lot of research before I work with clients, and I take a look at their websites, and I'm like, oh, it's pictures of buildings. Yeah, that's not telling me what's going on inside the buildings, that you're serving children. Oh, you have students and teachers. It's like, show me the kids that are having fun learning, or show me the teachers and introduce me to those people. And so you've got to connect with your audience, whoever it is. And so my way of sharing those stories is by creating authentic, vulnerable communication pieces, whether I'm doing that on a crisis situation or whether I'm doing it in the marketing, right? Like if I'm marketing a program and service, I am marketing them because I'm talking about the lives that it's changing. Or if I'm telling about something that happened in a crisis, like one of my favorite stories that was super pivotal in my time in the urban school district is we had a student who was caught stealing milk out of school on a Friday afternoon. If you dive underneath what was wrong behind that, is that child was stealing milk because he was going to be hungry over the weekend and he didn't know how to feed himself. And that's heartbreaking. But when you tell those stories, it allows people to connect to the needs, right? Because
Right.
your service, you're providing a service and you're fulfilling needs. But there's a, if you've studied this at all, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you don't fulfill people's basic needs at first, you can't even begin to meet their upper needs, right? On that triangle. So you have to be able to feed those children before you can educate them. And that for me was the connecting piece. And it was like, ooh, we have stories to tell about what's going on in our buildings and in our marketing. And that's how we're going to connect people and make it real and make it where people want to invest their time and their resources and their money. Because when I talk about how I've provided $1 billion in services to schools, that's because I'm able to connect people to the needs. And that's need-driven marketing for me, like being authentic and empathy and talking about that vulnerability piece.
Wow. you just gave a huge epiphany to me, because I've been teaching empathy for I don't know how long, and I know all about Maslow's hierarchy, but I haven't incorporated it. And
Mhm.
that, how could I have missed that? That's such a huge part when with
It,
empathies, right? It's getting to the deepest needs. Wow, I'm
yeah,
gonna have to go back and redo everything I've done. But no, I'm not gonna redo everything, but I'm gonna start incorporating
tweak.
it for
A
sure.
little tweak is just all you need. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's
Yeah.
super, super powerful. Thanks for sharing
Yeah, of course.
Um, oh, here's a cool question that I like to ask. So, do you have any stories of campaigns that were upside down? They could be upside down either way. So, either a campaign that you were sure would crush it, but it flopped, or it's like, I don't know if this is going to work. It was kind of a Hail Mary, but it ended up like just absolutely like
Yeah.
being
Yes.
huge.
It's a marketing one. And I was like, I didn't know if it would work because it was like super out there for a school district, right? Like it was just like, oh, should we do this? And I pitched it. I watched the Super Bowl
Oh,
a
right. The Super Bowl
couple
story.
years
Okay.
ago. Yes. A couple years ago I watched the Super Bowl, and I watched specifically for the ads. Like I could care less about
Yeah. Yeah.
football, like one or two teams playing, right? And
Yeah.
so I called the superintendent that I was working with the next day, and I'm like, "Did you watch Super Bowl?" He's like, "Of course I watched it. He watches for football."
Yeah.
And the team that I
Weirdo.
was, yeah, the team in that district that I was working with, I said, "Did you two watch it as well?" And the one lady is like, "Well, yeah, but I was hosting a party, so I sort of saw it, sort of didn't." And this other one was like, "I watched it for the commercials," and I was like, so do you remember the commercial with the QR code that bounced all around the TV in different colors? It was in neon colors.
Okay. I
Did you see?
didn't. I'm in Canada, so we don't. Yeah, it sucks. We don't get U.S. commercials.
Okay, okay, okay. Oh, that's right. You probably wouldn't see that. Okay,
Yeah.
so it bounced. This was like a genius commercial in my, and it may have been 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember now. But it bounced around all over in bright colors, neon colors, and it changed colors when it would go around the screen. So I looked at that and I was like, oh my gosh. And my daughter's like, Mom, get your phone. And she's like, so she's scanning the code because she wants to know what it was. We got to see it. I don't even remember the company. That's terrible, right?
Yeah.
But their site crashed because they had too many people that went to it, right? I was like,
Okay.
that is so cool. So how can I take that and implement that idea? Because I was like, what if we did a marketing campaign, because this school district was trying to grow its audience of the number of kids that were enrolling and moving into the district. And they're
Okay.
like, this is that Hail Mary pitch. And I was like, are you willing to go there with me? So I got a geofencing and mapped around their district of where the kids were. And my mailing company was able to identify age 3 to, I think it was 8th grade, to kids in that age group, right? And so
Yep.
we sent a postcard with the QR code that went to, we created a website, just specifically a landing page about marketing and enrolling to that district. And it was linked to that QR code. And we were like, we know you want to look. And that was all we put. On the flip side, of course, we had to have the mailing address and the
Yeah.
postage or whatever. And that's all we put, was like, we know you want to look. We know you're curious, or whatever it was. And so they got some enrollments off of it because that's what their focus was. And they were a tiny school district. So they weren't like hoping to get more than like 10 or 15. And I know we drove, I wish I had the metrics pulled up in front of me, but we drove the engagement up of that piece. And then they also had some actual enrollments from that as well. I'd have to go look it up and let you know.
Oh, wow. Yeah, curiosity-based campaigns are fun, aren't they?
Yeah, it was so fun, but it was so like different in school,
Yeah.
in the world of schools, right? Like they were like, oh yeah, let's totally do it. So everybody was excited. It was total Hail Mary because nobody had ever done it. And yeah, fun. It was fun.
I think the number one marketing campaign that I remember before becoming a marketer and like paying attention to that sort of
Oh
stuff
yeah.
is I think I was in maybe university, or I was just working as an ambulance attendant for my first years. I was in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. It's a steel town.
Okay.
Anyway, somebody bought like all the billboards and put the face of a red bulldog on the billboard. It was
Uh-huh.
just a bulldog's face. It was red, and that's it. And we're driving around, and everywhere we're going, we're seeing this red bulldog. We're like, what the heck is this red? There's nothing with it.
Super cool.
It's just
Yes.
this red bulldog. And then, months later, like bulldog beer, red dog beer hits the market, and boom, like everybody needed to try this beer because we've just been seeing this red bulldog fake. And this is before like microbrews are famous and all are
Yeah.
popular and all that. But
Yeah.
yeah, but it was just such a strong campaign because of the curiosity. Like everybody's talking
Oh,
about it. Like,
yeah.
what's that red
Yeah.
dog? Do you know what that is? I don't know. And
That
we all
is
had our different ideas,
genius.
right?
I love those
Yeah,
kind of campaigns. Yeah. It builds the curiosity. And
yeah,
I've seen a couple others do that too that have been fun. And they mailed out mugs, like coffee mugs, to everybody in the community. And it was kind of driven like that. It had something on it. And then they sent the other half of which being another mug later on. And this was like in a one community. And I don't remember what it was for, but I just thought that's clever. I love paying attention to that kind of stuff. It drives me because schools are unexpected places where you don't think you need to market, but you
right.
do when we're in this competition era, and that's what we're facing a lot of times now. It's like marketing. You have to be out there telling your story, being empathetic, using that empathy and connecting with your audience, but being fun and clever about it too.
Yeah. Oh, that's part of the empathy is like because we know that people want to be entertained more than anything. I don't know where that falls in Maslow's hierarchy. I gotta look again. But yeah, we want to be entertained. So if you don't understand that, then you're gonna miss the mark. So,
Yeah.
what were some life changing and defining moments in your career?
Wow. That's a good one. The single most defining moment was being on the communication team, a volunteer communication team, and we supported the May tornado that killed 7 students in Moore, Oklahoma
Okay.
during the school day. Um, I helped tell the stories of those students, of each of the 7, and the teachers who laid across their bodies while the tornado was going over. It it really was pivotal for me. They didn't have communication in any capacity. Their admin building that housed their technology was hit. This is before cloud, right? And
Right.
so they had zero way to connect to their community. So we built everything from the ground up. And that is the ultimate version of like empathy marketing is being around fragile stories and stories of triumph and resilience and building them back up. But that is the place where I had worked on so many crises, but that was the single most important moment in my life. And it literally shaped exactly where I was headed and where I was going. Like I knew that was what I'm going to do for what I was called to do and what I'm good at.
Yeah, things like that definitely change you. I had a similar death toll in Leadville, Colorado. I was working as a paramedic, and we got a call early in the morning to some unconscious teenagers at a residence. And what had happened is there was 7 high school kids went to the bowling alley, were shooting guns just because they're kids doing stupid stuff. The police came, police chased them. They got away, and they went into the garage of their dad's house. And it was winter, and they just stayed in their cars hiding, drinking beers with the engines running, listening to music. And so all
Oh,
7 of them died of carbon monoxide poisoning. And
yeah.
so there was nothing I could do for them. But this was a Hispanic family, and you know how big and tight Hispanic families are in that sort of
Mm-hmm.
in that area. And yeah, and so like I couldn't help the victims, the teenagers, but there was so much I could do and I needed to do for the family. Like we had like 2 or 3 heart attacks come in that day. We had like just so
Mm.
many other emotion, like stress based
Yeah.
emergencies that came into the ER, and then you had to deal with those patients, but then you also had to deal with like the people who brought them in. Like it was just so much emotion, and yeah, that definitely changed you, and it teaches you to look at things in a much bigger picture, I think.
Right. For sure. It's It's stamped on my heart. And I say that now when we have tornadoes in Oklahoma, it's a little stressful.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
guess. Oh man. Yeah. A little bit of
Yeah.
PTSD there for sure.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was another thing we learned about in crisis communications is that um, we take in schools, we provide counseling for teachers, students, families that need it, the resources. We provide it for the administrators, but usually the people leading those crises and helping communicate in them are the last to think about needing any resources. And so now it's a game changer. You make sure that that's in your plan. So yeah.
And you hit that nail on the head as well, because that was such an impact on our community. And I was the guy who spearheaded getting all the critical incident stress debriefing, and I made sure
Mm-hmm.
everybody got it, and I didn't go.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody went but me.
Right. Yep.
I didn't have time. I was helping so many
I
people. I
know.
didn't
I
have
get
time to
it.
go.
I totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on that happy note, let's see if you can share one actual marketing strategy or tip that our listeners can implement today to start seeing results.
Well, I think I kind of shared it at the beginning.
You did, yeah, but maybe you can just
but I'll go over it again. Is that I cannot get it the point across enough. Is that dedicated time on your calendar, focus time, where you don't let anyone get into that time frame, and you only just focus on the one thing that drives the most impact to your business. And for me, it is clearly looking for speaking opportunities in front of my target audience. And so I just, it's pivotal for me. And so whatever that is for your audience and for you specifically, like make sure you're looking for that opportunity and put yourself there. Like,
right.
Then you go out and market yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Like so often we're told how lucky we are to have this opportunity or that. No, we weren't lucky. Like we put ourselves in the road so that opportunity would come along. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. And sometimes I've sounded stupid. Like I know I did. But it's where I just, sometimes people like question about the passion or whatever, but if you're passionate about it, it'll come through. And that one thing that I'm super good at, like that's what I'm promoting. And I know where my strengths lie, right? Like I'm not promoting things that I'm not good at.
Right.
So
yes. And I've really enjoyed this interview with you primarily because of your passion. Like I've hosted other guests and they're just sort of blasé, right? But you're in it. Like you are, like you believe in this 110%. Yeah, it's so much fun to talk to somebody who has that passion.
I do. Like, why do you want to get up every day and not love what you're doing? Like, that's a miserable existence to me. And I guess my, like when I told my dad when he's like, you need to get any job, like a bank job. And I'm like, I can't have my soul sucked out from me. Like, I can't live that way. And I know some people can, but it's just a miserable life. And life is meant to be lived. Like, why aren't we taking advantage of it?
Very cool. So what sort of people can you help? And is there a way that they can reach out to you?
Absolutely. You can reach me at any of my social media handles at my email address, which is kennedy@okcce.com, or my website, which is www.okcce.com. And I can help. Like if you just want to run marketing ideas or like communication pieces, PR, that kind of thing, even if you just want to bounce ideas off, no matter what, I'm happy to help anybody that wants to be helped. But if you are specifically looking to move your audience and you want to grow into education leadership, that's where my passion is. That's where I'm super passionate about, is promoting leadership in those areas. So yeah.
Cool. I was hoping I could see like Kathleen Kennedy at Action One News, but we'll go with
No, not anymore. Although when I was at the urban school district, I'll tell you a funny story. A friend of mine was on the sports. He was the sportscaster and on the weekends. And he said, oh my gosh, you are on the news more than I am. And I'm paid to be on the news. I was like, yeah, this is not really I don't want to be here, but there were so many crises that I was responding to. So if you Google me in the Oklahoma area, you will find all of my history on TV. There you go.
Okay. Oh, very cool. I'll
Yeah.
make sure to put all of your links in the show notes and on the YouTube podcast channel and everything like that.
It was fantastic visiting with you.
Yeah, thanks, Kathleen, for coming out. Like I say, it's so much fun when people have passion and they're excited about everything. So thanks for being you.
Thank you. I wouldn't want to be any other version.
Awesome. All right, thanks, Kathleen. We'll definitely stay in touch.
Okay.
And that is a wrap for this episode of Because Business is Personal. Thanks for joining us. And don't forget to take advantage of my 2 special offers. First, you can get a free copy of my best-selling book, Empathic Marketing. You just pay for the shipping. Or you can get a 50% discount on my gap analysis session with the coupon code podcast. Just head over to www.becausebusinessispersonal.com or check the show notes for details. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to follow, subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with others who might benefit. Your support means the world to us, so stay tuned for our next episode where we'll continue to delve into the intersection of empathy and marketing strategy. Remember, because business is indeed personal, every connection counts. Until next time, see you then.